Hey everybody. Okay, the multigrain bread that I made, everybody loved it, including me. I just didn't like how wonky it was, so I'm going to remake it, change it just a little bit. I've got my recipe here. I'm going to tell you what ingredients I'm going to be using. Okay, for this one I'm going to use a half a cup of multigrain. You use hot cereal or oats. I've opted for oats. Yeah. Now you can get like the Bob's Red Meal 10 grain hot cereal, or 5 grain or 7 grain. Now the thing is, I found one that's like a well, I'll show you. I found this one. Yeah. Now this one is cold or hot. My thing is, I don't want raisins in this. I don't want sunflower seeds in mine. I don't want any like hard seeds or nuts. So I opted not to use that, but I did eat a bowl of it with cold milk. I just let it sit, and it's really, really good. I let it sit for like 10 minutes, and oh my goodness, I was really shocked at how good it was. Okay, because I try not to buy like the box cereal, because a lot of it has that, I can't remember what it's called, forever chemical or something another, that I think where they sprayed weed killer or something another and growed the crop, something another. Don't hold me to it, but there's something in there, in a lot of them, that I'm not, I'm not all about that. So, I think it's forever chemical or something like that. Something like that. Don't hold me to it. But, okay, we're going to have, like I said, I opted up for half a cup of oatmeal. So, yeah. You can very well get that, get a multigrain hot cereal. Yeah. And then you're going to need 2 cups of boiling water. I've got my water on the kettle right now. And then we're going to need 2 1/4 teaspoons of active dry instant yeast. I'll show you which one I'm going to use when I get ready to mix that up. 3 tablespoons of honey. I've got ours from our honeybees, which now we only have 1 box left because someone knocked our smaller box over and they left. Okay, 3 tablespoons of melted butter or oil. I'm opting to use avocado oil. You can very well use melted butter. But we're trying to do, healthier, so yeah. Okay, and then 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt, and then you're going to want 2 cups of bread flour, and then a half to a whole cup of whole wheat flour. Now, this is where I'm going to start with, because, it kind of, I don't know. That's the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to put the half a cup in, and I'm going to use the other half a cup as if it is too wet, or if I need some for, putting down the dust with. So you'll just have to wing it on that and figure that out. Optional, like I said, optional. You can use seeds. Yeah. 2 to 3 tablespoons of seeds, like flax seeds, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, whatever seeds that you opt to use. Also optional is wheat bran. I'm using it. I'm going to be using 1 tablespoon because I used I used some in that other multigrain, and yeah. So I'm opting to use 1 tablespoon of wheat bran, and yes, that's the Bob's red meal as well. You don't have to use that, but it'll add some goodness to your bread. Okay, what else? Where am I? Okay, I'm waiting on my water to come to a boil, and then I'll show you from there what we're going to do. Now, if you do decide to use the wheat bran, you're going to want to add on, like for the tablespoon, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of more of hot water. Yeah, for this wheat bran. So, since I'm doing a tablespoon, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of water. Okay, I have got our 2 cups and 2 tablespoons of boiling water. Well, you can probably still hear my kettle going, but you can see the steam. I'm going to put that to my bowl. Because last time I made it hard on myself, and I mixed that in here, then I had to transfer that over into my flour. So this time I'm just doing it straight in the bowl. Okay. Then I'm going to add in my oatmeal. That's what that is. Okay. And my wheat bran. I'm going to add that in. I'm using 1 tablespoon. One tablespoon, as you can see. And this is an oldie set. Yeah, this is an old set that my mom had. So the newer ones are, I think, a little bit different, but I like those. Okay, I'm just giving it a little mixy-rooney there. Moving it around. Now, I'm going to let this sit. I have to let this sit and cool down to, I like it at 110. Between 110 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit. So, yeah, I'm aiming for around 110, but, you know, anywhere in between there. Then I'm going to, then that's when I'll add in my honey. And I'm going to use this yeast. Now, you could opt for a packet of yeast, which I probably have in the refrigerator, but I am trying to use up this bottle because I've been using it. So, yeah, I'm going to use that type, and you know, try whatever type you want to. But I'm just giving that a little whiskey round and let it soften up. See, what you're wanting it to do is soften up that hot cereal or oatmeal, according to whichever you know, do. And that's what this is going to do. And then that wheat bran is going to be soaking up that water. So, yeah, we need to give that time to do its thing. Then we'll come back. We'll do our honey and our yeast. And then we'll start mixing our flour in. And, you know, I have done got right here. I'll show you. I've done got our 2 cups of bread flour and a half a cup of whole wheat flour, and I've got my salt in there, 1.5 teaspoons of salt in there. And then right here I have the other half a cup of the whole wheat flour. So we'll go from there on that, but I'll bring you back. Okay, ours is more of a lukewarm, so that works. Yeah, I let it sit a little too long. I got busy, so. Okay, honey was, how much did I say? 3 tablespoons. Yeah, or so. I mean, you could do less or more according to what you like, you know what I'm saying? You could always opt out and I guess use sugar if you wanted to. I don't want to. I want it to be more natural. Okay. Now, if I wasn't mixing my yeast in here, I might have would have opted on doing my oil before my honey, because you know that helps your your honey just slide right off of your spoon. And lots of times I don't even use the measuring spoon. I'll just wing it, you know. But yeah, I used it this time. So okay. Now we got that in there. Oh, and about your using that wheat bran. Now, the reason I let that go a little bit longer and get it got, you know, a little bit cooler than normal, you know, yeah, is because I like to let that sit. I like to let that wheat bran sit in there for at least, you know, 15 to 30 minutes. But if you have time the night before, you could actually do this mix and let it set, and it would be even better. Or an hour before, or 2 hours before. You know, as long as it's sitting out at room temperature, got warm, a little bit of warm, you know, room temperature warm, your yeast should do fine. Okay. I just thought I would tell you about that, because I actually opted, and may do it the next time, you know, letting mine sit longer, honestly. Yeah. Okay. Now, what did I say? 1.5? I think it was 1. Wait a minute. No, 2 1/4. Okay, 2 1/4 teaspoons of our active dry yeast. So, I've got this one. There's 1. I'm just sprinkling that kind of in there. 2. And then my 1/4 of a teaspoon right here. Well, if I can get hold of it. Okay. And I like to store mine in the fridge or in the freezer, either one. If you're not using it, then you could easily put it in the freezer. But if I'm going to be using it, I usually put it in the refrigerator. Like in the door, I've got mine in the door, like where you would put your butter. Of course, parts of my refrigerator likes to freeze things that shouldn't. So, okay, now we're going to let that sit. Let's see. I'm trying to think how long I let that sit to activate. Well, you want it to activate. I'm going to say 5 to 10 minutes and let that activate. Could be 15. What I mean by activate is it's going to get foamy on the top. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let me see if I can. Okay, as you see, I just put it in there, right? Now, whenever it gets foamy on top, I'll bring you back and show you what it looks like. It'll be frothy or foamy looking on the top. You see, that's just kind of laying on there right now. Okay, you see how foamy that looks and frothy? That's activated. Okay, so that yeast is ready. So now we're going to get with it. Okay, now we're going to add our flour and our salt mixture. Put all that in there. Okay. Set that over there aside. Now, okay. I'm going to use my dough whisk. Could very well use your hands. Now, I'll give that just a little bit of a mix. Not much. Not much. Now I'm going to put in my oil because I don't want to forget my oil. And, you know, I'm liable to do that. And then it would be dry and not so good. Okay, we want 3 tablespoons of oil or melted butter. I opted out of vegetable oil because I'm trying to go healthier. If I were using butter, it would be real butter, which I still use some real butter. I have quit using the margarine and that fake stuff. Okay, there's our 3 tablespoons. What did I do with my lid? Oh, here it is. Okay. But you can use, I would say you could probably use vegetable oil if that's what you had. Yeah. More than likely. And you could use that margarine if that's what you've got. I mean, you go with what you have. And we're just trying to eat healthier, you know. But what you can afford or what you have, you can still make bread. You don't need the fancy crap. You don't even need this. You see, I've got a bowl. I've got hands. You go in there with your hands. You can go in there with a spoon or whatever, you know. Because I'm going to be using my hands here in a minute anyhow. I've got a KitchenAid. And I could very well slap this in there and let it do that kneading for me. I have the dough hook, and sometimes I do that. But, I don't know. I wanted to do this by hand, and that's how I opted doing it the first time that I done it. You know, trying to get it where I want it to be. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is let me make sure I've got all my wet ingredients, because what I'm going to do, I've got this pretty much, all the dry ingredients are now incorporated in wet, as you can see. Now, got a gnat flying around. You'll have to go get in that cabinet in there. Sundews will eat you. This is very sticky, so I'm going to add a little bit of our 1/2 cup that we had there. I've got maybe not that much in there. See, I have to knead this for about probably 8 to 10 minutes. I'm gonna have to knead this. So I usually set my timer for 10 minutes and go from there, because it usually, I mean, yeah. And when I start kneading, I'll show you how I'm doing it, but I won't keep you watching for no 10 minutes. Okay. That's still sticky, so we'll have to use more of that. We will, yeah, it's still sticky. Use a little more of it. I'm actually going to go in with my hands right now. This, you know, I'm just incorporating that dough in there. I'm not actually kneading the dough. So, yeah. Yep. I just took me some vitamins and made me a cup of coffee. I'm trying to drink my coffee black. I really like it with milk in it, whole milk. Not a lot, but I'm trying to get black for brain, you know, for my brain health and stuff, because I know black coffee's healthier for your brain, or that's what I've, you know, seen in researching. Okay, you know, I think we put like 1/4 of that cup. You see, my thoughts on this is adding that flour. I don't know, but if it's like really been raining or something, you know, it could make a difference. Seems to me like it can make a difference on how much you have to use. I know not in all recipes. This one's still a little sticky, but we're going to knead this, and I will use more of that flour when I do that. So we're looking at probably going to be using at least another 1/4 of, if not the whole thing, but at least 1/4, because we've almost got it to where we've used that much. Okay, I'm going to cover this. Let it sit for a little bit. I want to let it get a breather for maybe, I don't know, 30 minutes. I've got all the dry ingredients incorporated, so I'm going to give it a little sleepy poo, and then we'll come back and we'll start kneading it. So I'll bring you back then. Okay, now we're going to knead it. See? She rose. I'm going to put out some of that flour. Generously. And flop you out. There we go. Now, okay. Put a little bit on top. Okay. I know that stuff's going to try to stick to my hands, probably. Okay. Feel pretty good. Now I'm just going to knead it, like so. And I'll put out flour if I need it. See, like right now I'm sticking to it. So I'll put a little more flour. See, we've got down to about there. So it's, yeah, I don't know where we'll be at the end, but I set my timer. I set it for 10 minutes. So I'm going to need this for at least 8 to 10 minutes. See, we're probably not going to need all of that flour. So I'd say we used about 1/4 of that cup, at least. I know my sleeves, trying not to get them in it, but can't really worry about that when you're doing things you love. See, it's sticky again. So I'm going to have to use a little bit more. And we're just kneading it. We want to get it nice and smooth. See, really sticky. And I know the last time I ended up using a lot of that flour. So, yeah. We want it to be smooth, and I don't know how to explain the feel, but see, it's getting sticky again. So, yeah, sticking to me. Stick until you put a little more flour, because I figured this for 1/2 to a cup. So, yeah. And then we just go from there. Now, I'm going to knead this. I'm not going to keep you for all that time, and I'll bring you back. Okay, I ended up kneading that the full 10 minutes, and I'll tell you, I used every drop of that. So, a whole cup of your whole wheat flour. But it wanted to get sticky on me there towards the end of my kneading. So, I got just my duster with a little bit of bread flour, because, you know, the whole wheat's more thirsty. So, I used a little bit of bread flour, and she come together beautifully. Now, I want to put a little bit of avocado oil in my, I'm going to use the plastic bowl. And, yeah. Yep, I'm going to use the plastic bowl so I can put a lid on it. Tablespoon in there. Just going to get that up on the sides so that if she rises, she's not going to stick, you know, to where it messes her up. So, yeah. Beautiful. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful dough ball. So, I did go for the full 10 minutes of kneading. May not take you but 8. Okay. Now we've got her in there. I'm going to cover it up. I'm going to let this sit for at least, you know, it could take up 30 minutes to 2 hours. It's according. My house is rather warm. So, you know, I'm going to let it double in size. You want it to double in size. So that could be, you know, go back and look at it. Just keep an eye on it. Because if you're in a hot home, maybe 30 minutes. If you're in a cooler home, could be an hour, could be 2 hours, not even be 3. I hate it, but you know, and if it gets to that extreme, you may want to put it in a warm spot like your oven and cut the light on, you know, not the oven on, but your light on in the oven. So I'll bring you back whenever this has done its rising. Okay, she's ready. She's doubled in size. I had to change. Got hot. This, I mean, this, it's like cold, hot, you know, yeah, all over the place. So, gonna punch her down. Get all that air out. Okay. Got my bracelet on and I'm gonna get oil all over it. Okay. I'm just pressing it out and I'm gonna roll it in like a log type. Or that's what I'm trying to achieve. So we'll see, you know. Trying to tuck them ends a little bit because they're rolled, so kind of want it to stay, you know, in place underneath there. Okay. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Kind of like a football, but oh well, close enough to a log. I'm using parchment paper and an old loaf pan I have here. You could just grease your pan. You don't have to use parchment paper, but I am using it. Okay. Whoop. Put it right down in there like so. Look, looks good. I have to say, looks pretty good. And I'm just going to make sure I got a little bit of room at each end because I'm going to let it rise again. So we're going to cover it up once again and we're going to let it rise. A second rise. And then I'm going to put it into the oven, which is preheating 350. You want to put you a pot of water in there, or you know, some sort of, I've got like loaf pans with water in there, and you want to put those in there so that you have steam. You want some steam, and I think that's greasy enough. I think that's greasy enough where it's not going to stick. I think I've got a shower cap left. I'll stick that on there. But yeah, you want to put that water in there so that it can steam up. I've also got my pizza stone in the very bottom, on the very bottom rack. Because I found that they don't get as, I don't like them burnt. And I don't want them too brown on the bottom. So I found that's a good buffer or barrier in between. So yeah, we're going to let this rise. I'm not going to cut it or anything as far as scoring it or anything like that. I'm not going to do it, you know. I mean, you could. I don't know, though. Maybe I should. I'll let you know whenever it comes time. I'm going to let it rise, though. And then I'll bring you back if I decide to do it. I may put a gash or something. Okay, I do believe that she has rose and is ready. Oh my goodness. Also, yeah. And I have opted to do a score down the center because it is sourdough. And yeah, I don't want it to have a blowout. You know what I mean? And if I don't do one, I'm brushing some butter on her. Yeah. Just a little bit. And this is real butter, so I don't feel too guilty because I didn't use butter inside of it. So I'm opting to put some on the outside. I feel like that'll help with I want a soft crumb. I don't want, you know, the crunch, because I got people, it'll hurt your teeth. So, yeah. Okay. Whoop. Lord mercy, Spring. To drop the bowl on there. Boy, she got bubbles all over. Okay. I'm just going to use this very sharp knife and try not to cut myself. So, okay, just down the center. That's all I'm going to do. Right down the center. Just down the center. Okay. Like so. Okay, now this is going into the oven. It is preheated 350. Like I told you, I've got pans of water in there, steaming it up. Gonna put her in for, I'll be checking her because my oven gets hotter than the normal oven, so I'll be checking her probably, see, I'm gonna say 35 to 40 minutes, but I'm gonna have to check her on like 25, and I will be taking an internal temp of her, and you're looking for golden brown, but also I like that internal temperature. Yeah, I do. Now you just go by look if you don't have that. So I'll bring you back when we get her done. Whoa, look at the size of that thing. Oh, mercy. And yeah, she's got a ways to go though because she's not golden yet, but boy, she sure is pretty. See how I did my water? Pizza stone underneath. Yeah. Okay, she's ready. Look at this. Oh, she's big. Pretty big size. Looks good. Look. Oh my goodness, so soft. Look how beautiful. Look how beautiful. Now what I'm going to do, put her on the cooling rack. I am going to brush the top with a little melted butter. I know, but I'm going to, and it's real butter. Then I'm going to take a clean dishcloth and put over top of her because I want her to stay soft. I don't want her to have a real, see, it's kind of, yeah, it'll soften up. That helps hold in the steam, and then the butter, yeah. Oh my goodness, can't wait to taste her. I'll bring you back after she cools completely. You ever have one of those duh moments? I looked at my loaf and I had a duh moment because this is not sourdough. This is yeast. And I'm like, why did I score this yeast? I normally would not do that, and it's not completely cool, but boy, this is a soft bread. I'll bring you back when she's completely cool, but yeah, I was like, it's a duh moment for sure. Time to cut it. We'll see how she turned out. Oh my goodness, the smell. It smells so good. Awesome. I mean, let's see. I think I'm going to cut it from this end right here. Hopefully you can see. Oh my goodness, it's slicing beautifully. Look at that. Beautifully. Look. Oh my goodness. Look. Gosh, it smells good. It smells wonderful. Yeah, you can't have any. I'm happy with it. And it's pretty. Look at that. Beautiful. So I'm very happy with this. I'm real happy with it. I think it looks awesome. It's done and it tastes wonderful. So that is a good recipe. And it's not sourdough, but I scored it anyhow. I had a duh moment. Till next time. Bye.